Good afternoon, viewers. Welcome back to Coach Grenville FB Live. I'm Praveen here along with Grenville. Hi, Grenville. How are you doing?
Good afternoon, Praveen. I'm doing good. How are things with you? How was your trip and how was last week?
Yeah, everything was great. Been to Orissa and other places. It's good.
Good,
Things
good.
are improving, Grenville. I think the vaccine things are working out. People's morals are increasing, so they are welcoming people. Not too much of fear as we had it in the past.
That was expected to happen, right? I mean, once you have a solution, I think people are now, without a solution, people were still going out of need. Now I think they are more protected, and so I think they will be much more comfortable going out and going about their business. So I think we got good days ahead. Let's see.
Yeah, Grenville, I think we just started off with our topic of prioritization. So our people have started as the COVID season starts. So they want to get. So let's talk about prioritization.
Okay, see, let me ask you the question back. So, what is prioritization in your mind?
It is all your needs which needs to be channelized so that you can better planning and moving forward.
You're right. I mean, to a certain extent, that's what it is. I mean, the whole point is that you cannot do everything simultaneously in your life, right? So you need to put things in a sequence so that things can be done and you can achieve
Yeah,
goals. So you need to start with the most important and keep going and in decreasing levels of importance as well as in urgency. Like certain activities may not be important, but the delivery periods are much less. They have a tighter time frame, right? So you put them into a sequence and you follow them from
yeah,
the most urgent and the most important to the least important and the least urgent. So that's as simple as it sounds. You prioritize your whole activities and your whole agenda, even including goals and objectives, in the same sequence so that you do the important things first or the time framed ones first, and then you reach the ones that are least prioritized in the end.
yeah. Well, thanks for the explanation. I think most of us understand it. The main problem what we face is this: how to prioritize.
Okay, now that I knew was going to be the next question. For sure. See, I think everybody knows what prioritization is. I think everybody also knows that it's important to prioritize, right? If the problem is how to go about doing it, and that is a challenge for everyone, and that was a challenge for myself. Now, what tend to happen is that you tend to take on everything that comes to you because everything is important, right? There is no such thing as anything that is not important. Now, the question is that within the things that are important, how do I do certain
Yeah.
things first and how do I do certain things next? That is where comes the judgment call, which makes us either successful or makes us.
Okay.
Now, whether it's a business or whether it's an individual, the rules of prioritization are exactly the same. Okay. What is expected is that whatever gives you the highest return
Mm-hmm.
takes priority. That is the very basic rule of prioritization. So if you're going to achieve something which is of more value, whether it is
Okay.
personal or whether it's official, whether it's something to do with your life or something to achieve a goal, you need to do that which brings you the biggest value first. Okay, so
Okay.
that is where you have to sit down and evaluate what you have on your list of things to do and agendas and say, okay, I'm going to do this first, I'm going to do this next. And the biggest challenge is going to be when things keep coming and popping up unexpected. Okay, even if you do
Yes.
this, many a time I have done an action list and I've actually time allocated the action list, and something springs up that always says, oh, this has become urgent now. What do you do then? Let me ask the question back to you. What do you do then?
Drop off something which can be shifted to the next day.
Exactly. So what we tend to do is what we felt was important gets left by the wayside, and we jump into the day to day and try to fix it. That is the biggest
Yeah.
mistake of prioritization. If those activities were though that important, it cannot be left for tomorrow. That is the whole point of prioritization, right? Is you pick the ones that cannot be put off and do them first. So the unexpected one that came, if it took precedence, that you should do it first, and that is when most of the cases do come. You need to sit and evaluate which one you're leaving out. What tends to happen
Okay.
is you tend to leave the most difficult or the most time consuming activity out, and pick on an easy one to do it first because you think you can achieve more in the same period of time, which is a cardinal mistake of prioritization. Okay, if we have decided to take the most time consuming and the most difficult one first, that has to remain on top of a priority list to finish first. Okay, and if the other ones need to wait, they need to wait. Now, that again comes down to a judgment call when you're making this prioritization in your mind or when you're sitting and doing the activity with your team. I've had this situation. I'm going to take an example of how we did it with the team before. We go out and sit every month to do a goal setting, right? We set a goals for that month.
Okay.
This month we're going to achieve this target. This is the sales. These are the customers. Blah blah blah. Now this is something we do every month end for the next month, right? Now
Okay.
1 month we so happened that we were having a bad month. Sales were not happening. We were being pushed for time. We were coming close to the end of the month, and we had a long way to go. So everybody's focus diverted
Okay.
away from the next month and started focusing on completing the current month. Right? I'm sure everybody who's
Okay.
manufacturing or in sales would see this as a very common phenomenon, right? You have good months, you have bad months.
Yes.
Some months you are done with the target by the 20th, and the last week is a very slow week, which is fine. But this is something which is actually the worst thing that you can do to yourself and your team because you get into a very vicious cycle. What tends to happen is that this month you already have a problem. You are addressing the problem, you're trying to fix it. Now, in those situations, you even need to spend more time planning for the following month to ensure it doesn't repeat itself, right? Because if you had a bad month, there's a high probability the next month is going to be even worse, correct? So if you don't identify what are the pain points next month that need to be addressed now, next month is going to take you even in a dire state. Then everything goes out of array. You lose all your direction. You just start reacting on a day to day, and you start fixing one issue at a time, never getting the prioritization, any sort of sequence, and any sort of achievement in your process. So my advice to everybody
Okay.
is that when you have set a priority to do something, okay, there are times where things are definitely not times. Most of the time, things are going to go off track. And when they go off track, you need to sit back and focus what you're doing today. Is that going to fix what has taken you off track now? And if the answer is yes,
Okay.
then you see how critical the current problem is, and you allocate resources to fix it on a temporary, like a firefighting basis, right? You can't leave the current issue. It cannot be left and say, I'm going to sit and do planning. No, it's not practical. So you allocate part of
Yes.
your resources saying, handle the situation. Let me sit down and see by planning for the future. Okay, can I fix the current issue also in the same way? Because when you have a problem ongoing and you're doing a planning, you're getting ready input that, okay, I made an original plan at the beginning of the month and we're in a situation today for some reason, right? It didn't go just like that without any assumption. So the assumption you've made was wrong or the assumption has changed. So this
Okay.
live feedback helps you make the next month better. So that is how you use a difficult situation to help you in the next cycle.
Yeah, Grenville, that
That's
was
how I
a
felt.
good explanation. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a good explanation. We could understand in detail. But the main problem, what it lies, is that, as you said, there's a priority job which takes a longer time, and there are what to say, a second priority or a third priority job which can be done in a shortest time. Uh, as a policy that it should be taken the first priority on the first point, and then the priority goes. But what happens is, like, when your list keeps becoming bigger and bigger, and you feel that you have become very inefficient. So how do you handle such situations, Karan? Like like 2 3 jobs are of shorter time frames, and it could be completed, and you can give a quality time for the highest priority one. So how do you manage such situations?
No, I think prioritization is aimed at making you efficient. It is not contrary, right? If your prioritization is making you inefficient, your prioritization is wrong. Okay, that is the
Okay.
whole premise. Your prioritization should be making things better, should be making your life easier, should be putting things in place faster. That is the whole basis of a prioritization concept. So if your prioritization is making you worse, forget the prioritization. That means the whole prioritization you have done is wrong. Okay, so that
Okay.
is how you
Okay.
measure your prioritization. Your prioritization for a short time, it could be consuming all your time and all your focus. It's possible, but that cannot make everything stop till you get your time to come to that item, right? That has its own importance. So you should be able to handle things more efficiently when you prioritize. That is the assumption of doing prioritization. When you make an action list, right? You've written your task list, right? And before When you do that, you keep in mind your time frame that this can be done in 2 hours, this can be done in 3 hours. And then you decide, can I wait for 2 hours for the next item to come? Now, if it's taking more than
Okay.
2 hours, the concept is that reevaluate at that time saying, this is going on more than I planned. Can the next one wait? If the next one cannot wait,
Okay.
this goes to the side, it becomes a second priority, and you go back to the customer, whoever is the recipient of your effort, saying, this is not happening, we are having issues, this is on hold. Now, if that guy raises a big hue and cry, you know that that is like
Okay.
most urgent to fix. Then, so it's a matter of evaluating between two priorities is the biggest challenge. If you've time framed your work, it should fall in with enough buffer that you can have an overlap and get it done. That's how you prioritize. You don't say, I have 10 to 12 and this is going to take exactly 2 hours. You should be doing 10 to 12:30 then and giving yourself 30 minutes more. So that if there is an overlap, you are giving yourself enough time. And then evaluating, can the other item wait for another till 12:30 to get done? Right? So
Okay.
that is how you prioritize. So the goal here is that the basis of prioritization is to make you more efficient. If you are prioritizing and you're getting worse,
Yeah.
you're doing the prioritization wrong. That should be your alarm saying, let me sit back and rethink what am I doing here.
Yeah, Grenville, absolutely right. What you said is practical and true. But what happens is when you are with the team or when you are with tied up between your personal and official things, uh, certain things which has been a probing issue normally takes a priority on it, and it always becomes difficult because it's a human tendency that if you have a problem, that we think that it should be solved. And for solving a problem, you need to have a clarity of mind.
Correct.
So what are your tips how to handle such a situations? Like when I have a probing issue, which I need to do it, and I have something which is like I would say that I have a personal issue, which I need to prioritize and finish it. Plus I have my official things, which needs to be done within the day. Okay, it can wait, but technically it has to be done within the day because you are already planned for it. So how do you handle such situations?
Okay. The first thing you said actually is a point we should cover before we go into how to fix it. The most important
Okay.
thing is striking a balance between personal and official, right? Now, both of those are important. I mean, people have this perception that personal can wait. It is not true. That is what there causes most of the problems at home, causes most of relationship strain, causes most of the problems because you put your personal life on the back burner and saying, I'm going to put my life and soul into my work and life can wait. Okay, they will
Okay.
understand. I can always go back and say, sorry, trust me, that is the worst way to do it. You do not have two lives. You only have one, and that is you.
Okay.
Personal and official form a piece of you, and a balanced life is what is going to carry you long term. So never ever set them separate and say, I'm going to have a priority list for work, a priority list for personal life. There's only one priority list. You prioritize your day. You don't prioritize your personal or official life. You only have so many hours in the day, right? And you prioritize work in that time. That's how you prioritize. Just to clarify before I go into how to do it, okay? So that's something people miss. People tend to take it for granted that,
Yeah, Granul,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, Granul, the most of the time, all of us keep a priority list for personal and priority list for
I know.
official, and we never mix match and keep a common list for it. So you picked onto a very sincere problem which all of us follow, or
So,
it's a human tendency that okay,
yeah,
my priorities of personal life cannot mix with my official life on that. So
yeah.
how to balance it, how to move forward to make a common priority list as such.
Okay. The way I balance my life is I use my calendar. Okay. There are only so many hours in the day, right? I mean, whether you do official or you do personal work, that's all you have. Even if you don't sleep at all, there's 24 hours in the day. That's all you can do physically or humanly with the time is available in your life. So in that time frame, you
Yes.
fit everything. So I prioritize everything based on what I think is important to me as a person, whether it is professional or business or personal. It doesn't make a difference. Right? Now the point is that when it comes to a clash of personal and professional, then is when I make a judgment call saying, how is this going to affect me? Okay, the customer is a secondary story, but How is it going to affect me? How am I going to be able to handle the remaining part of my work? For example, you have a personal issue at home, right? How do you think
Yeah.
you're going to be mentally stable to handle the official work if your mind is occupied with that issue at home, right? You're going to be
That's
permanently in a
the
state of worry that I have to go back and fix it. I have to go back and fix it while you're trying to do every single thing at work. Your quality of work at
yes.
work is going to get messed up. Most probably, it's going to affect the quality of output you do. Okay, so that is a
Yes.
judgment call you need to make, saying that for the benefit of my official work, to make sure that I can work to my ability. I go to my boss and say, I need 2 hours off. I've got a personal issue, burning issue. I need to fix it. Now, if you have a boss who understands you and who's able to understand that you are putting in your 110%, he needs to be able to cooperate to give you the time to fix that issue. So that is how you need to prioritize it if it is going to affect your work. Or if it is something like you got to pay the electricity bill and today is the last day, you can delegate it. You can ask your wife to go and pay it. I mean, there's so many ways to handle some issues which are very paltry. I don't say paying the electricity bill is paltry, but it's something that is not as important as somebody is hurt and in the hospital. Should I go and meet them or should I attend the meeting? I mean, it's a no-brainer, right? Forget the meeting. I go and see the person in the hospital and make sure they're okay. Correct? So it's the degree of
That,
severity of the issue. Sorry, you're saying something.
yeah, that is true, Grenville. But the most, what is the most of the problem, or it is still in our human mind only. So when you say you want to prioritize, go and talk to your boss. Whether your boss gives you a permission or not, I start thinking myself that why should I go to my boss? He is not going to accept it. He has some priorities. Why? It is our most of the time our mental inhibition which doesn't allow us to approach other person for help. Plus, at the same time, end of the day, you are going to get the same firing from a boss for not completing the job, or you are done a shabby job on that. So what you said is right. That when you get into a issue or between a personal and professional, I think it is better that you need to be open and to discuss with your senior or the team to understand whether we can shift the priorities and move forward on it. That was a good thought, Colonel. It will be helpful for us on that.
Yeah. Now coming back to how do you handle it, the one that you were talking about, right? Now the point is always that two minds are better than one. You've heard this saying, correct? You never try
Yes.
to do things yourself. Everybody tends to make an island of themselves when they get into a problem. We try to sit and keep putting everything of our thoughts into it. When somebody walks past, I don't know if you've experienced that. There's been many times I've been stuck in an issue. Okay, maybe I'm trying to unscrew something. Okay, I'm trying, and the thing is not unscrewing. Somebody walks back and says, "You're screwing it the wrong way. Turn it the other side," and it just opens up. I mean, I'm bringing a silly example, but it's as simple as that. Okay, you just need another perspective of what situation you have that is not directly involved in the problem, and that tends to bring a very different perspective of how to handle it and could sort out the issues a little better. So I strongly believe in a team of minds. So when you're sitting and looking at a problem that's not getting resolved, if it is delaying all your other issues, bring in reinforcements, ask for help, go to your supervisor, go to your colleagues, stand up and shout, I need help, come help me. I mean, we as Indians, I mean, sorry, I'm talking about Indians as Indians, but as our mentality, we think asking for help means weakness. We feel that
Yes.
signifies that I am incompetent to do my job. But if you look at other nationalities, they come and say, "Hey guys, I'm sorry, I'm in trouble. Come help me." I mean, they're very open about that approach to saying we need help and we need to fix the problem, right? That is something which I've learned in my. Well, luckily, I've been exposed to all these cultures. It's made me open my mind and say, what other people perceive about me doesn't matter. It's what I perceive about myself is more important, right? Now, whether I'm capable or not, I know. Now, at the time when I'm stuck in a problem, if I'm going to put all my energy into it, it'll take me 2 days. If I pull in two more hands, it'll finish in one day. So, which is more smart? Go out there and ask for help or keep struggling for 2 days myself? I think the answer is straight away clear, right? So, I think the important thing is that, as I say, you need to go and bring in additional resources when you are in the middle of a crisis that is not getting resolved. That's how you overcome your hurdles and move on to the next one. But the one thing which I've told all my colleagues who I've worked with, perfection is the enemy of being successful. There are perfectionists who can never find an issue is resolved to their satisfaction. Includes the person talking right now. I believe you can always make it better, right? So we are never satisfied with the output. If you do something, for example, I'm making a video, I'm editing it. Maybe there's a small delay in one word. Okay, I spend half an hour editing that one patch of the video, which is nobody's going to even perceive. But to me, it has to be perfect. So I have, over a period of time, got over this urge to make it perfect, because as humans, we are not perfect, right? We are not machines. So we do not have a percentage of error. We don't do a 98% efficient output. Sometimes we are 60, sometimes we are 100. That's what makes us special as people. So accept yourself for what it can be and deliver on what you've promised. You don't need to over deliver. People say that I will say 80%, I will do 110%. That is a very, sorry to say, stupid approach to efficiency. If you can deliver 100%, say 100%. If you can deliver 80%, say 80%. I mean, you are supposed to set your prioritization and your capability based on how much you can deliver. That's the lesson I learned. Okay, when I was doing something, I always believed put a lot of buffer for myself, sometimes unreasonable buffers, and go and say 1 hour earlier, I finished the job. The mind of anybody who comes to you in the future will be that this guy will buy a lot of time. This guy will buffer so much time in his process that to make his life very comfortable. Okay, which was not true. I was trying to make sure that I always delivered what I say. Now the perception that the person takes away is that he wants a lot of buffer. So it's a matter of striking a balance between not falling off in your commitment or making it too tight and not making it too loose. You have to have that striking the balance to make sure that what you plan to do, you get it done on time. So the three things that I would say is, first is call in reinforcements. If you're really getting into trouble, make sure that you ask for help. Second is, please do not try to be perfect. That is never going to be perfect. How much you try, you can always improve something. And the third is what I said was this: make sure that you ask, having the perspective that you get things done and move on to the next point. That's my way of doing it in the past, that I have handled prioritization and make sure that I get things done.
Well said advice, Grenville. I think it will help me particular and also our viewers who are seeing it. Like most of the time, what you listed, those three points, is something which we don't uh, uh, improvise on the list. So we say we make a list and it's my list and I have to complete it. So we don't understand the essence of delegating or finding another resource on it, including it's a personal official. If you could delegate it, it is a best way to do it, and maybe you can get the things done on a shorter time frame also. That's a very good piece of advice, Grenville, to all of us. Such.
Great.
So what are the other things we should keep in mind when we make our priority list as such? Say we have short time items and long lead items. So you tend, which, like, say I'm looking at my goal, which is not going to happen tomorrow. It is going to happen after a year. So, but it is necessary to be in my list. So how do you advise that we can incorporate this in our list?
See, as I told you, the tool that turned out to be my savior was my calendar. Okay, whether it's a written calendar or an electronic calendar, a calendar is the best tool to use. You can have very short-term planning, an hour-based planning on the calendar, and you can have years of planning ahead, right? The main thing is to review that calendar. People tend to enter in the calendar and forget about it. They say, okay, I've done my prioritization, it will figure itself out. That's not true. If you find a gap in your calendar of time, you need to utilize your time usefully, right? So you can always pull things forward. And when you're pushing things away, you always evaluate, I need to get to that. So what I also planned ahead of that, is this going to stop that from happening? Right? You need to look ahead as well as currently and say, I'm pushing this off by a week. I had planned something based on this activity, I planned another activity. Will this affect that? Right? So you keep all those aspects in mind. But for me, my lifesaver has been my calendar. I enter everything into my calendar: personal, official, birthdays, anniversaries, meetings, appointments. I've now integrated all my softwares, whether it is a Zoom meeting. Like, for example, the Zoom meeting today, I got a reminder on my phone when I was having my lunch. So I know, okay, I have a meeting at 2. So I don't need to remember, and I already have my life planned for me by by the medium. If somebody says, I want to meet you, right? I have set up Calendly, which is an app. I tell them, don't ask me, just go on Calendly and you check. You'll see my empty spaces. You can book the appointment based on that. Okay, so that helps you funnel in your priorities, and people will come back and say, I can't wait that long. Can you fit me in a little earlier? So you will be making an exception. So that keeps your time and your deliveries under control. You're able to manage it with software. Now, today, there are so many apps available that you can manage everything without a lot of effort. Before, we had to write down, we had to call, we had to meet. I mean, it was much, much more cumbersome than today. We can do everything in front of a laptop or on our phones. So I would strongly suggest everyone at a bare minimum, maintain your calendar, keep it always updated, keep reviewing it on a regular basis. If you find free time on your hand, which you have not allocated for rest, and that's one thing which I tell people, set in buffers in the day, a half an hour for lunch or 1 hour for lunch, a half an hour break or 15-minute break, even to have a cup of coffee. Whatever you can set in between slots are the ones that will actually save you. And I actually put in slots called buffer. Okay, a 15-minute slot. I never book a meeting back to back. If I have a meeting from 2 to 2:30, the next meeting is at 2:45. You never know whether this meeting will spill over, right? And then when you're going into the next meeting, you have to switch off this topic and get on to the next topic, which takes you at least 5 minutes, right? So never do the mistake of filling in your calendar back to back the whole day, and you'll be running from meeting to meeting. You will never be optimum. You will always be shifting from one mindset to another mindset, which will not be efficient, and it will not let you deliver on what you're trying to get out because you're doing too much in the period of time. People believe that we should be fully booked for 8 hours in the day because we are getting a salary. That is the most inefficient way of doing work. Okay, human beings and human minds needs rest. To optimally perform, it needs rest. That is a proven fact. You go to many journals that I've read on, you need to make sure that you have this rest in between that keeps you running at an optimum speed. So to do that, set yourself and give yourself buffers. As you said, you can always eat into them when you are really stuck with a problem. Okay, I have done that too. I mean, I'm not going to say I've been perfect and everything has run smooth. There are times where I break all these norms and take one issue that has to be addressed. But those need to be in exceptions. They cannot be a regular fact every day. If it's an everyday activity, again, your prioritization is wrong. So, as I started this whole conversation, if your prioritization is making you inefficient, if you are working more than you were doing when you are prioritizing now, are clear cut signs that this is not right. You're not doing it right. So, keep checking, saying that is this better than what I was doing yesterday? Am I getting more done than what I was doing yesterday? If you do not see that happening, sit down and reevaluate the way you're prioritizing. And my suggestion is to identify a person who you see is organized and try and learn his secrets. Sit down, talk to him and say, how do you manage your life? I mean, that is a faster way of learning something than trying to invent the wheel. Now, I did this over a period of years. It didn't happen that I became optimal, I became prioritized. This is just overnight. But that has its own learning curve and it comes with a cost. It either comes with a personal cost or it comes with a cost to your efficiency, right? But if you can learn from somebody who's good at it
Yes.
even today, it's a faster way. And it's not a patented process, right? It's just somebody who's done doing something good. And it's actually a praise to him that you are actually acknowledging that you have got something that I don't have. Teach me. Would again help him get recognition for something he's good at. So I would suggest identify a mentor, preferably, who can mentor you through this process, or at least at a minimum, somebody who can tell you what he does as a good way of doing prioritization. This would be my suggestion.
Yeah, thanks, Grenville. I would appreciate you for a couple of things which you said. One is to find the resources like your calendar, which normally we don't think about it. So that is one part of it. The other one which you said is how you set your timings back to back. So that is again a problematic thing because the we have 8 hours of work hour. In that we need to give something for the new work, which could be an emergency. So maybe it is better that we should plan for maybe 5 hours or 6 hours and keep 2 hours buffer stock so that we can move in either the next day's work forward or take in some emergency work which is coming in. Really appreciate you for you giving us a chance to. These things are known, but somebody telling you point blank, it gives a lot of leverage to people to market and understand and try to practice it. Grenville, I'm sure that I will try to practice these things and I'll try to prioritize much more better than what I'm doing today.
That's great, Praveen. I think that's all I can ask for because I also learned this from someone else. It's not something that I got out of my own gyan, as they say it. So the best thing to do is to share the knowledge, and if you get good at something, is to share it with somebody else. And the reason I am so so optimized in my way of working is that I do not commit to more than what I can do and do not put in too much buffer. So striking that balance is what helps. So thanks for the afternoon of time with me as well. So everyone, thank you for being on this video. Whoever came on live and joined us, thank you very much. We appreciate you sparing your time on a Sunday to be here with us. And for those who are going to see the recording, thank you. Keep watching. We do bring these videos every weekend on every Sunday at 2. So if you can join us on FB Live, it will be great. We are on Coach Grenville FB Live page. Thank you again for one more time, Praveen, to come after your travel and being so tired to sparing your time with me to go through this episode. So thanks and have a great day again.
It's a pleasure talking to you, Grenville, every Sunday. I look forward to it. So even despite the schedules, I find it more comfortable to meet you on a Sunday and discuss with our friends and about all the common things which we are, which we know, but which is not being propped up correctly in our life on that. And thanks for the help, Grenville. See you next week. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Take care. So for everybody who see the video, like, share it with others so they can gain the knowledge as well. And do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well as like our FB page. Take care till next week. See you and stay safe.
Bye.